Hello there, it's Andy Bradley here. I'm one of the co-founders of the work in Leeds around compassion, kindness and well-being. Initially framed as the Festival of Compassion, and then the Festival of Compassion and Well-being, and now the Festival of Compassion, Kindness and Well-being, and the Leeds Kindness Revolution. So the work started with us asking the question, could we work with a city consciously to evolve a compassionate city? And really thrilled with what's unfolding in Leeds and hearing about the 37 neighbourhoods and the 8,000 volunteers and the interest in compassion circles. So again, some interchangeable language, compassion circles, care spaces, kindness spaces, listening spaces. What all of these spaces have in common is the keen interest in creating safe spaces for ordinary people to be heard and to feel safe, to think about self-care, to think about caring for each other, and to really connect with what matters most to them. So there are 3 teachable habits that lie at the heart of all of these spaces. The first one is listening with a quiet mind. So most of the time we're listening to speak rather than listening to hear. The second one is asking questions that matter. So what are the questions that matter to local people in neighbourhoods in Leeds? And in my experience, the same sorts of things matter to all human beings, really. Kinds of questions around belonging and connection and inclusion and power. And the third practice or habit is appreciating from the heart. So it's making explicit what often remains implicit. So what matters is to voice what we appreciate about each other. So I wanted to make this little video in case it's helpful to the organisations that are actively engaged in neighbourhood level work in Leeds through paid work and volunteering, in the hope that this might be helpful in framing the intention of these spaces. So some questions to perhaps leave you with. What are the needs in the neighbourhoods in Leeds, and how might listening spaces help to meet those needs? Who might be the people who would naturally host such listening spaces? And having been beavering away in this space for about 20 years, my recommendation is that those people are ordinary people. Because there's something about ordinary people, neighbours, listening to neighbours, that's very powerful. So how can the organisations that are doing the neighbourhood level work in Leeds align with ordinary people to create these conditions for listening? And I'm aware that that might begin with the organisations, but I hope would end with the people at a local level. So who might be the holders of these spaces, and then how might those holders be enabled and supported to take on these roles? So the consistent experience that we've had is the only way to really feel what these listening spaces are like is to participate in them. So the recommendation would be to begin with a series of experiences of listening spaces, and then to invite people who are interested in then holding those listening spaces to step forward, and then to create a network of listening space holders, facilitators, hosts. And then to create a rhythm of regular listening space. So rather than doing one-offs, actually to say, I don't know, third Wednesday evening of the month is armless listening space, or so something to think about in terms of habits and practices, because these listening spaces are very structured, because it's the structure that we've learnt that makes them anti-oppressive and enables people to consistently feel like they're being held and like they're being heard. And sometimes they might feel like they're getting some sense of healing through that. So I hope this little video is helpful. Very inspired by what's happening in Leeds and all of the volunteering and all of the work at a neighbourhood level. And just amazed by the work that's happening locally with the organising committees for the Leeds Festival and the Leeds Kindness Revolution. I am in awe of all of the people that are connected and involved. I should have said at the beginning, I'm Andy Bradley, and I'm the designer of Compassion Circles and the founder of Frameworks for Change, and have this unusual tag that was given in 2012 of being recognised as one of Britain's most radical thinkers for my work on closing the compassion gap to make the world a kinder place. And really become very passionate about working through the lens of place, listening, and just connecting with our better nature, really, which in my experience is to be compassionate. And that's not to underestimate the deep challenges of being human and the suffering and the divisions that exist between us, but we do have more in common. And when we have the space, then we feel energized and more ready to take small and bigger actions to make a difference at a local level. So I wish you well with your neighbourhood level intention to spread kindness through listening. Thank you.